Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Thomas Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. On this show, I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry. Before I get on with the show, quick sponsorship message. Today's episode is sponsored by Barrels Ahead. Barrels Ahead, we help the wine and craft industry scale their business through authentic content. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Today, I'm super excited to talk with Howard Marx. Howard is the founder and CEO of Vinvinea. And Vinvinea, it's a global platform that connects wineries, distributors, and retailers. Welcome to the show, Howard.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So thank you so much for being on. So Vinvinea, tell me about it. How did you find out? Tell me about the company and its organization.
Sure. It's Vinvinea or Vinvinea.
Yeah, how did you find that name?
Yeah, the name, we chose that name because it's both, it's a great name in both the Latin languages, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and it's also a great name, Vinvinea or Vinvinea, in the Germanic languages, German, Dutch, English, so on and so forth. So, so either way is fine. Yeah, it's a global company. Yes, it's we're headquartered in the States, but it's we have a global team around the world. There's people in Europe, there's people in Asia, there's people in Latin America, and there are a couple of us here in the States. Yeah.
And from what I understand, you connect basically the whole wine industry, from the wineries all the way down to the retail platform in this global marketplace. I think you have 100,000 or so connections.
Correct. So that's the whole goal, to connect the wine world. So suppliers, producers, that is wineries and vineyards, want to sell their wine. How would a Greek winery, or who would a Greek winery sell to in the Netherlands, for example? Who would a California, Oregon, Washington State winery sell their wine if they want to enter France or Germany or Austria or Switzerland? Who would they contact? Who are those importers? Who are those distributors? So you come to us, and you can easily not only present your offers. So that's one of the first functions. You present your offers and say, let's say you would want to export, or you would want to sell your oversupply in Europe or in Asia or in Latin America. There's 152 countries on our platform. So you would present that offer, and we send emails to those importers and distributors which are interested in, let's say, U.S. wine, if that's the example, or Greek wine for my earlier example, or what have you.
Almost like a matchmaker.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Almost doing a little bit of matchmaking.
Well, yes, because you can present your details and say, I have 100,000 bottles, or 1,000 bottles, or 100 bottles, and the price is X, and the details, it has been, it's from this AVA or this appellation, and the varietal is a blend, and you can pick and choose all of the, we have over 1,542 varietals on our database, so on and so forth. And then you can write some notes, obviously, and then there's critics, you can add the critics, and so on and so forth. So then whoever gets that will have a good sense of what product is being offered.
Sure. Now that sounds like an incredible platform. So you came up with this idea back in 2016, 2017 when you launched it?
Yes. Correct. I came up by this idea because I was in Spain trying to help a couple of vineyards in Spain sell their wine in the Netherlands, and it was overwhelming, and it was extremely hard to connect to the right firm in the wine world. So we amassed a huge amount of data slowly and build up the database, and we constantly updated so it's up to date.
Oh, that's great. So you're preloaded. So previously, so I'm trying to figure out what life was like before. It was all very just like one-to-one focus, where you'd have to go out there, research, and everybody would be building their own little kind of Rolodexes of names and connections. And you've now kind of equalized it by building this tremendous database.
Sure, that's right, correct, Drew, and you could always use Google, but if you Google importers distributors in the Netherlands or in the States, for example, you'll be there for the rest of your life, going through Google lists. And so what we've done is we've actually loaded up the right contacts, the right emails, the right phone number, and the right location for each and every importer and distributor around the world. So that way you don't waste time. And say you're interested in Switzerland, for example. And so I don't know the algorithms for Google. I've never worked for them. So we actually have amassed the information right on your fingertips, and that is easily accessible. It's actually very economical. It's $19 US dollars per month, and you can cancel any time. Most people just have a reoccurring account with us because first you're thinking about South Korea, then you're thinking about Japan, and so on and so forth. So you would want to and it depends. It's a very flexible system. So it also allows you to find the right importer and distributor in any country. So, for example, you don't need to present an offer. You could actually go online and say, I need, what would be the best importer and distributor for our wines in New Zealand? And so you can pinpoint which ones you would think, and then you can open their websites, of course, and you can assess which ones would be best for your products. Obviously, one knows one's products quite well, and so on and so forth. So that allows you to pinpoint and obviously grow your business dramatically.
Yeah, that's tremendous value. How did you go about growing this list to 100,000, to as big as it is today? Is it leveraging different industry databases? Like, I know I subscribe to Wine Industry Network, and we've got our little network of 10,000 wineries in the US. How'd you go about growing it?
Well, in some countries, there's public information. The States has public information, for example. Who has an alcohol license in the state of X? In some countries, there isn't public information. So we actually went both to Google, to the Commerce, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so on and so forth, and have had people amass slowly the amount, the information that we need. Now, other countries work as monopolies. For example, Sweden. And the state of Sweden, the country of Sweden, controls the purchasing, but they don't, so it does depend on country. Now, you can also, the third function is you can, as a winery, you can also view requests for wineries. So let's say an importer in the Netherlands, is interested in a Greek wine or in a US wine. So they actually go online to our website and fill out a form, and then we email, the suppliers in California or in Oregon or what have you, to see if they're interested in exporting their wine to the importer or distributor in the Netherlands. So it works both ways, and you're able to see those requests online for the same price. We're only charging $19 for our services.
Yeah, that's incredible. So it's really a flat fee membership to access all of your capabilities.
Correct.
That's pretty good. How did you arrive at that pricing model? It's one of the most straightforward I've heard to date, especially in the SaaS industry.
We figured it's cheap enough for big suppliers, small suppliers, big producers, small producers. It's a good number. It's about 19 euros right now, so it's a good number for everyone. It wasn't such an incredible algorithm that we put together to come up with this
24 seems too high, 15 seems too low. Let's go with 15.
That's right. There you go. We're trying to, enter the market, so we might be increasing prices like everyone else has been increasing prices, with inflation or what have you. But right now we're trying to keep it low for, we're trying to get more people on board.
Oh, absolutely. So in 2017, I mean, tell me about some of the challenges of launching this. It's such a huge initiative or such a huge undertaking.
Yeah, many challenges. Challenges with coding, start with that. Back end, front end, challenges with design, challenges with trusting the right people, challenges with the database that we just spoke about, and challenges with the sales team that we have, who works, around the clock. They don't work around the clock, but we do have people around the clock monitoring emails and so on and so forth. Challenges with, following up and so on and so forth. That's But
like that initial launch, like I've done a couple software platforms, but especially with a marketplace, it's really hard to get from 0 people visiting the site to, you don't want somebody to come in and it's a ghost town. Like, how did you, from entrepreneurially, how did you launch it?
Yeah, well, vineyards and wineries are quite interested in finding the right importers and distributors, because you can currently have an importer, let's say in the Netherlands or Poland, but they're actually distributing another wine or many other wines, and there's competition among those, and so they're not really making an effort on your wine, and so maybe it would be best for you to search for another distributor, so on and so forth. So that works in our favor. On the distributor importer side, they're interested in actually presenting offers to retailers. So that's very important for them, so they can offload any product that they are not moving, so on and so forth. And some of the distributors are interested in pinpointing different wines from different appellations, so that they can get those wines on their inventory, so they can sell those wines to the clientele that is requesting those wines. So that's another service that we provide on the platform. Yeah.
Usually, like it's the retail part that fascinates me the most, because a lot of times you do see a database, people that connect the wineries or vineyards with distributors, wholesalers, and then on the B2B side, but actually going down to the retail level, that's pretty great. Yes,
because in most other countries besides the States, retail, there's the 3-tier system is not there.
Okay.
And one can sell directly to the retailer. So the winery or vineyard in California can sell directly to Carrefour in France and have that product distributed around Europe or throughout Europe. So the States has a peculiar way of structuring alcohol sales.
I get so indoctrinated into this 3-tier system that I kind of forget there's the rest of the world out there.
That's right. There's about 151 other countries and out there, and I'm not obviously there's about 189 countries, but the difference is a lot of the Muslim countries forbid the sale of alcohol. So Iran and
25 of them right there.
Yeah, and so there's plenty of those, Somalia and so on and so forth. So we don't even we don't even have data on them, obviously.
Sure.
But there are 151 other countries besides the States
that drink wine and enjoy it.
That drink wine and have actually drank wine much before the States drank wine.
Yeah.
Actually, centuries before.
Oh, absolutely. So your background, did you kind of grow up in the wine industry, loving wine with a wine loving family, or how did you decide to make this your latest entrepreneurial venture?
Yeah, so my family has had wine on the table frequently, but it's a love that I have for wine and that I've acquired, and then I've acquired a love for the business actually, and the challenges that Latin American, European, and even Asian. I'm including Australia and New Zealand because they are in that part of the world, even though they're not specifically Asian. So there's all sorts of challenges. So that's why.
So you have such a global such an insight. So from 2017 on through 2023 now, how have you seen like this global flow of wine, and basically how has the environment changed over the last 6 years or so with the flow of wine around the world?
Yeah, well, before COVID, it was challenging for us because the idea was there, and we did implement the platform. But once COVID hit, to physically go to these trade shows, for example, a trade show in Dusseldorf, which is the biggest wine trade show in the world, it was a challenge. So they actually canceled that twice. And it has reduced dramatically this year. It was, and the amount of people that have been visiting. So it all has gone online, and this has boosted our presence and our support for the wine world. Yeah,
it's amazing what COVID has done for certain companies, especially the online base. You had the right idea, and COVID actually presented you with the right environment to actually let it flourish. Did you have to adapt your platform at all to react to these?
Yes, we cranked it up dramatically. We're on Google Cloud, where the APIs had to be polished a bit more, and we were able to do this years ago with a great team that we have, a developer team in India. And obviously the sales, the online or inside sales team also boosted their emails and phone calls. So we were able to switch from physical to non-physical worldwide. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was interesting from the trade show side of it, seeing how they were reacting, because they were the aggregator, they were that marketplace for so long, and they were set up to react as quickly. So they started doing the virtual trade shows and all that. But you were right there with your platform. Did you did you step up more of that matchmaking, or how did the platform shift at all, other than the technology?
No, we've
just kind of
we've pretty much have had the platform stable. We haven't changed much. We haven't added bells and whistles to it because most people outside the States don't like the bells and whistles so much. They want to keep it clean and keep it, down to earth and simple. Remember that most people who access our platform, their first language is not English. And so we want to keep that very simple, very easy to use. And that's what we've done. And that has been, like Steve Jobs, I think, made, these comments that it's the hardest thing is to make things simple.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is the platform available? Is it multilingual, or is it primarily in English?
It's only in English right now, but you can obviously, if you use Chrome or Safari, you can translate it by clicking the translate button, and you can have any language. We do send emails out in 7 languages: English, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, German, and Dutch, because those are major languages for the wine speaking world.
Your social profile, your social streams are all very multilingual as well.
Yes, correct.
Now, so with the 150 countries you've got, aside from the US, where's your strongest user base?
Stronger user base is definitely Europe. Europe and Latin America. Unfortunately, the States has this 3-tier system, and it really breaks down the competitiveness. This is probably a bit on the tangent, but the States is going into an oligopoly on not only the wine world business, but we see this in the cell phone industry and the airline industry. There's only about 4 or 5 top companies that control, these industries, and the list goes on and on, Coke and Pepsi and so on and so forth. But you get the point. And so that has hindered capitalism, and that has made this country quite, stodgy, in my opinion. When you look at Europe, you can go from Italy through to Germany to Poland to Denmark, and not only in a truck ride, but no taxes, no anything. It's just simply a matter of supply chain.
A little more, facilitated commerce. That would be refreshing to see, especially in the wine industry in the U.S. Talk to me about so you mentioned Greek wine into Netherlands and some of those others. What's some of the different connections between the countries that the average listener might not realize is really where a lot of the trade's going on right now?
So it's impossible for me to track where the trades are going. We don't get a commission. That's the other important point. Okay. I should have said that before. We don't charge a commission on a sale or anything. It's just a straight fee. We're looking into other ways of expanding growing our business, but right now we don't. And
that's actually a benefit, because you've got privacy. Like you're not sitting there like creating this global monitoring of all these deals taking place between your users. You've got this platform that they can interact with one another.
Correct, Drew. And we actually don't know if the deal, as you're saying, actually happens or not, because if you place an offer and I think it's great and I email you directly, I don't go through Vinvinea at all. So I email you at your Gmail or what have you, or your professional email, but things we don't know if actually things do or don't, and how much the deal goes through for $1 million or 10 million. We actually don't know, and we're okay not knowing. That's not our business.
No, it's good to know. I mean, it's good that you've made it it's a feature that you've got that you do allow this like almost privacy, and you allow this platform to just kind of run on itself without trying to get in the middle of these transactions or claiming that you're responsible for the transactions. Anecdotally, though, you must hear about some deals that go by that people's lives have become easier by using your platform.
Definitely. We've had some great connections throughout the world. Argentinian wine has been sold throughout Germany much easier. Chilean wine has been sold in the Netherlands. We've known of a couple of deals there. I'm not too sure about the figures, but yes, some good connections, some good matchmaking has been done. And obviously in Greece, I use that example. The Greek wine is loved in the Netherlands, and so on and so forth. So yes, and speaking of love for wine, the love for wine in the States does change and morph throughout the years, depending on who writes an article on whatever newspaper. And so everyone, wants to have that type of wine. So that actually generates money for us and growth, because then the distributor would be able to pinpoint which producers, which winery, which vineyard would be best to sell those the wine that they're interested in buying for their clientele. Yeah.
Sure. And we're now going forward. We're recording this right now at the start of 2023. Where do you see the global kind of wine trade going over the next couple of years?
Well, Europe is pretty stable. Latin America is pretty stable. Wine growing because of the financial pressures that we've had, inflation and devaluations. Latin American wine, you can get very good Latin American wine at a very economical price. That's for sure. China, yes, China is producing an incredible wine a bit north of Beijing, very close to the desert. That could alter the wine world in the next 10 years, I would say. It does take a while, but they have excellent French enologists there, and they have a great some of those vineyards have a great team, and they're actually bottling within the state. So that's important. Within the States, wish this 3-tier system would be done away with, because it seems like we have 52 countries within the States, because Washington, D.C. acts as a state, even though it's not a state. They have their own legislation and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Wish that would happen. I don't know. I don't know much more. Yeah, and Asia is a growing market as well.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of Chinese exports coming over to the U.S.?
Yes, both. Chinese wine is actually trying to enter Europe as a very economical wine. So younger people. But I do see that I do see the other way around, vice versa. French and Italian, as well as Latin American wine being sold in the big cities in China. So that the market for those wines is enormous. Not only Hong Kong, but Shenzhen, Beijing, and Shanghai, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I've watched a few documentaries about wine in China, and I can't wait to see what's happening over the next 20 years there.
Yes.
So we do have people listen from all over the world to this show, but we do have a pretty U.S. dominant listener base. Talk to me about how maybe a U.S. winery would use your platform within the 3-year system.
Sure. U.S. winery vineyard would use our platform 3 ways. The first is what I mentioned earlier. They would present offers if they would want to export their wine at a higher price than they're currently selling it here within the States. So that's an eye open. Or they would want to sell oversupply. So
Mhm.
they would present their offers. They would go in and say, we want, this is our product with these details and so on and so forth. It's very easy to click and choose. And then anywhere in the world, they would be able to pick a country, and we would be able to pinpoint the importers and the distributors that are interested in those types of products in that country that they specify. The second way is they would be actually able to find within our platform the right importers and the right distributors for their wine in any country in the world. Let's say they're interested in Japan, South Korea, so on and so forth, what have you, anywhere in Europe. The countries are all there. And the third way is they would be able to view requests for US wine. So that's, California, Oregon, wherever, Washington State, Texas, wherever they are, New York State as well, and see if there are any requests so that they can do. So those three are the main functions.
No, that's very valuable. So if you've got a glut of wine, like you got too much Cabernet, you can then find across the world people searching for California Cabernet.
Sure, correct. That's right, exactly. Or if it's a smaller winery, you could also export their wine. I mean, yes. So it's both for niche and not niche products. Yes.
Oh, very powerful. I was looking through your LinkedIn profile, and you mentioned that you had an AI component to this. So I have to ask, it's the hot topic now. How does AI fit into?
Well, we're trying to see and learn from our customers what type of wines, what details they put in, what details they don't, maybe add some special features, so on and so forth. So maybe we could improve upon our platform and actually grow their businesses even further. So the whole goal is for these wineries and vineyards to grow their business globally, because you could probably get bigger revenues abroad than you can within your country, because wine is, as everyone knows, is country specific or even territory specific, so on and so forth. So you can only grow, Rioja wine in the Rioja region. You can't do that in California or what have you. You can make chips and you can make iPhones anywhere with the right technology, but you can't actually make, French Bordeaux wine somewhere else.
No, it's all tied to place.
Correct.
I know in China they tried to. They built the exact city that looked like Bordeaux.
That's right. And they have great weather too.
Very equivalent weather.
Yeah.
So as you're I could see the AI though really just helping enhance the recommendations, enhance the just the way the system works for sure.
Yes, and we're doing our best. It's not easy, and we're doing our best to learn from our clients. So yes, and maybe eventually we'll incorporate a real AI section or part or assessment. I mean, I
think it's working its way into every aspect.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not surprising. So as from 2017, 2023, how do you stay motivated and excited? Like, what motivates you?
Well, I love speaking and dealing with everyone around the world. And that's what motivates me. I wake up early in the morning and I'm on with Europe. In the middle of the day, it's Latin America. And at the end of my day, because I'm based in the US, I deal with the western part of, obviously the US, Australia, and New Zealand. So the whole, my day is a long day. And
24 hours worth of conversations there.
Yes. It starts on Sunday night and it just doesn't stop. And I I love it, and it takes me places. I've been in Europe a couple times, and so on and so forth. So every year I'm there a couple times, and it does bring that joy, I guess, the global joy to me.
Oh, absolutely. I get a lot of energy from having conversations, which is why I do these podcasts. I love talking to people in the industry, so I can definitely relate to that for sure. But it is a lot of work, 24 hours of conversations a day with every time zone. What do you do for fun when you're not talking?
Yeah, definitely not speaking. I go by myself and play some golf with no one there, nobody around me but birds and trees, and that's about it. So that's usually what I do in the weekend, or whenever I can get a couple hours. So that's what I do, and I swim. Obviously, not listening to anything, so I keep my head grounded by swimming. Yes.
I like that too. It's funny. When I work out, like when I go swimming or surfing or running, I'm not listening to any headphones. I've gotten enough. It's just very restrictive.
Yes. Did I lose you?
No, well, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. We're back.
We're back. No, I was just talking about how silence for me too. I spend most days talking. Just it's very restorative.
Definitely.
Well, gosh, Howard, as we're wrapping down, where can people find out more about you and Vinvinea?
Vinvinea.
One of these days I'm going to get it right. I'm going to pronounce it every way.
Sure, it's vinvinea.com. So V as in Victor, INVIN.com. You can find anything you need there. And you could always send an email to info@Vinvinea or Vinvinea.com, however you want to pronounce that.
Vinvinea. Yes. I've got it down. Well,
yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a fascinating conversation.
Thank you, Drew. It was a pleasure.
You have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.